All right, welcome back, folks, to Dirty Boots Capital. Today we have Lila Wohlwend with us. I met Lila a couple of times over at some conferences that we both attend. And man, not only does she blow my mind and all the great stuff that she's doing, they have such a rock star family that you are going to be so amazed by what they all do. So, Lila, welcome to Dirty Boots Capital.
Thank you for having me here, Tony.
Yeah, so Lila, you have your hands and your family has their hands in a bit of everything. You yourself, you're an author, you have the real estate brokerage, you're a real estate investor. You guys have training that you do. Your husband's a not only in real estate with you, involved in all of that, but he has his own construction company, his aviation company, and you guys are speakers on stage at multiple events, the entire family, not just you, but your husband Eric, and then also your two boys, Devan and Ethan, are on stage as well. And man, so just so much goodness in what you guys are doing. And so we want to showcase that to our audience here, so it inspires them that they too can achieve more in their lives. So yeah, so I appreciate you being on the show. Did I miss anything, Lila? I mean, you guys are doing so much. Did I miss anything?
No, you covered a lot. There is a reason that they call us the real power family. They used to call Eric and I a power couple. And then when we had kids and they heard what they were doing, I wish I could remember who said it, but some lady literally said, no, that's not a power couple. That's a power family. And it stuck.
Your boys, I know they're involved in real estate. So your son, just to, kind of tease the audience a little bit here, your son Devin, he's 16 years old, 16, 1 6. How many doors does he have right now? How many apartments?
I believe it's 49
49 apartments. That is, and when did he get started?
at the age of 7.
Right. And so I know the audience is going to be like, yeah, but he had mom and dad to help him. Yes, of course. We as parents, we need to help our children and we need to help others. I don't have kids, right? Me and my girlfriend, we don't have kids, but we do talk a lot to younger people, try to help them, try to build them up. Because if we're not doing it, if the parents aren't doing it, right, who is? We know the school system isn't doing it. We need to be engaged. And I so love that story of, Devin getting involved so young in real estate. Help the viewers understand, the audience understand. So, like, why real estate? That's a big piece of your life and your son's lives. Why real estate?
He literally, actually, both of our kids both saw everything that we were doing in real estate from the time they were born. And we would just take them everywhere with us. If we went to a real estate investment meeting, they went with us. If we went to a conference, they went with us. So they were getting the same education that we were getting as we were learning more and more. They watched all the benefits. They got to see that, oh, we get to travel a lot because we have real estate. Oh, we get to do this because we have real estate. When my oldest Devan was 5, he decided he wanted to start investing. And Eric told him to invest in what he knew. And all he knew at the time were Legos. So he figured out a way to do that. And then when he turned 7, he said, I think I'm ready for real estate. So Eric literally gave him, here, if you want to get involved in real estate, here's what you need to do. You need to read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You need to go to the National Real Estate Summit. You've got to do all these things so that I know you're ready to invest yourself, because we were never going to give them a dime. We were never going to get a bank loan for them. If they were going to do this, they had to figure out how to do it. So they had to get very creative and be willing to take the action. And if you talk to Devan now, he'll even tell you he was never really afraid of getting started. The fear wasn't there because he was so used to all the things that he saw us doing that it was normal. He didn't
Yes.
have any of those barriers that a lot of adults have when they get started in real estate. So he's a great example now that if you go into it with eyes wide open and knowing that I'm going to learn these things, I'm going to go out and take action, and I'm going to be creative, I can achieve amazing things. And if he can do that as a kid, so can any adult out there.
Kids are so resilient. I share a story, and they have no fear. And when they're young is the time to start this. And I talk about it in my book. I talk about, helping a kid. Obviously, real estate, you do need sometimes a little bit of money and some, more time to do that, and a network around you to be able to support you. And that's all available. That's easy. But I share a story about just helping your kid like start with a vending machine. Just go buy your kid a used vending machine for like $500. Use their birthday money so they have skin in the game, so they're involved. Just plant the seed. Say, hey, if you want to start making money now, why don't we invest your money instead of having it sit in a bank? Let's go buy a vending machine. And it's not like you're so-called losing money. You're just transferring money from here in the bank to here. Your money is still there. It's just now in a vending machine. Sometimes these people have a concept that they're losing money. Well, no, you're just transferring it from one asset to another form of an asset. And so with that vending machine I share, there's so many different aspects, not only the products you're going to place in that vending machine, but also the placement. Where can you put that vending machine? Let me tell you, a lot of business owners, if I at 50 years old go and say, hey, I want to put a vending machine in front of your store, they're going to tell me no, right? But if a 10 or 8 or, a 12-year-old kid goes and says, hey, I want to put a vending machine in front of your store, people are more likely to say yes to a kid who has this real creative idea and kind of help them along. So they normally get yeses where you and I will get nos. And I think that's important to leverage. So it's the whole marketing of what you're putting in that vending machine. What prices are you going to charge? Where are you putting it location wise? How often are you going to stock it? All that sort of stuff. And it can be fun, much like real estate. When Devan started, it's fun. He's inquisitive. He's like, how do I do this? Unfortunately, both you and Eric, are guiding him. You're not going to let him fall, just like any of us. We're not going to let kids fall. Your sons are just so inquisitive, just naturally creating that inquisitive nature that's going to carry them to the next and to the next. Whether it's more deals or whether they start their own business, it's just going to be this natural, inquisitive, being, which I think is awesome to create that mindset. With real estate, there's a lot of benefits, but sometimes there's some hurdles along the way. What was the biggest hurdle for Devan?
If you talk to him, he will tell you that financing was one of the big challenges that he faced. We actually made him go to several banks and ask for a loan. And Eric never went in with him. He drove him there and sat in the car. And Devan would walk in and he would ask for a loan. And he went to 4 different banks. And he came back. The very first time he came back, he looked at my husband and said, Dad, they won't rent to me because I'm a minor. What's a minor? And Eric had to explain what that meant. And then by the time he got home, he's looking at me. He goes, I just found 4 ways a bank can tell you no, they're not going to give you any money. I'm like, okay, so what are you
Yep.
going to do now? And he had to figure out how to talk to private lenders, how to get owner financing. He learned what a subject to deal was, and he figured out how to do that. So he got very creative, and he still managed to buy a lot of real estate.
That's amazing. And I have so many people, because you do coaching, I do coaching, because it's in our nature to inspire people and to help people do this, because there's a need for it, and it's a great way to achieve more wealth and more freedom in your life. So being able to absorb that no, but not let it knock you down, give you the inspiration to keep going on and asking more questions, and okay, how do I do this, and seek out private lenders, using other people's money in different ways, owner financing, or seller financing, is another way. uh, so it's good that he's seeing all this, and he's getting this rejection as a child. He's getting this rejection and he's absorbing it, and really feeding off of it to figure out, how do I do this? So that's awesome. One of the things we talk about is being able to, create this multi-leg stool of income, right? Multiple income streams. I talk about it, I write about it. I think it's super important because I see too many people who have a stool with one leg. And as we can imagine, a one-legged stool is very unstable. We don't want that for folks. We want multiple legs on that stool. And so, you guys are doing it between your brokerage, your real estate investments, your training programs, your construction company, all that you guys do. For folks who have just a single leg stool, working a W-2, which is fine. I don't poo-poo a W-2 job. What advice would you give to them to create multiple legs, multiple income streams?
The first thing is to invest in yourself. When Devan got started, he was learning about how do I invest in Legos. And he could easily, if had he been an adult that had a job, he could have easily started with something small like that. My second son, Ethan, he actually started with a mobile home. He took it, he cleaned it out, he bought it for $1,000, cleaned it out, and by the time he was done cleaning out, somebody wanted to buy it. So he actually sold it for twice what he had paid for it, and all he did is haul the junk out of it. And so for him, that was a great deal to get started with. It gave him a lot of confidence. It wasn't a huge amount of money. It wasn't a huge burden to do that because he wasn't doing the entire rehab on it. and it worked out really well. And anybody can get started with something small. You just need to know, what do I want to do and how can I learn about it? And then I just need to go take action. And if they can follow those 3 steps, they can get started no matter where they're starting right now.
There's so many resources that are free or cheap to be able to learn. So many more than 50 years ago, right? We have podcasts now that are free. YouTube is free. Books are either free through the library or relatively low cost. Amazon has made books very low cost. That's one of the good features of Amazon. There's many bad features, but they've made books very low cost, so you can easily go on Kindle and listen to a book for 99 cents or a buck 99. So for folks who say they can't do it or it's too expensive, it's not. You and I know it's not. There's multiple ways to do this. I love that story of Ethan in the mobile home. How old is Ethan?
He's 13 now, and he was 7 when he got started.
7. Oh my God. That blows my mind, Lila. Thank you for sharing that story. So yeah, and people with a W-2, again, sometimes I hear certain folks kind of come at the W-2 population and say, oh, you should be doing this, that, the other. It's okay if you have a W-2. I say leverage a W-2, right? When I go into a bank, because I don't have a job, I don't have a steady stream of income, and that can hurt me. Whereas if you have a W-2 job, you have a steady stream of income. The bank sees you as a golden child with a steady stream of income. You get paid every couple of weeks, maybe once a week, maybe every other week, but you're consistent in terms of that paycheck. And they like that consistency. So that's one good thing. The other good thing that I share with folks time and time again is, many folks have a 401k retirement plan. And I'm not saying this strategy is right for everybody, but um, if you have a 401k, that may be a good source to be able to get your down payment, to borrow that down payment from yourself, from your own retirement account, to be able to fund a down payment on a home or on a mobile home. So I'm not saying raid your 401k retirement plan. I'm just saying borrow. You're allowed to borrow from your 401k. So that's always an option. Private money, private lenders out there, seller financing. There's a bunch of different strategies. When folks say I can't do it or it's too hard, I just, yeah,
But
there's no
it's not
excuses.
easy. When people say it's hard, it has its difficult moments, just like everything else, whether it be parenthood, running a business, real estate investing, or getting into investing in general. That's going to have its challenging moments, and that's okay. And you don't need money to start. Eric and I literally at one point were sleeping on a mattress on a warehouse floor. Now, this is well before we had kids.
Yeah.
And we had no idea what that was going to lead into, but I learned so much. We turned that warehouse we had stayed in into a home. And the lessons I learned from that entire project have really served me in the real estate investing as well as the real estate management field.
Sometimes folks think, we were born with a silver spoon in your mouth, or it fell in your lap somehow. For you, it didn't. For me, it didn't. I share the story. When I was building some new construction spec homes before I went to work, because I was still working my W-2 job, I would go at 3 a.m. I would be at my spec home 3 a.m. installing wood floors. I would install floors until about 7 a.m. I'd change into my work clothes. I'd go to work. 5 p.m. I'd be back at the spec home finishing up some wood floors, right? That's sometimes the hard work that you need to do to achieve wealth, achieve freedom. I don't do that anymore because now I'm in a place of financial freedom where I don't have to do that. But there's times where you have to do that in your life. You have to be sleeping on a mattress in a warehouse. On a warehouse floor. I don't, so to speak, wish that on anybody, but sometimes you have to make those commitments, and they're hard. So I appreciate you sharing that story because I think folks think it just comes naturally or easy to us. It's just hard work is what we're doing. Uh,
And a
so
lot of
so
persistence.
so speaking about hard work and potential opportunities, before I hit the record button, we spoke a little bit. We touched on the recession, whether we're in it or we're facing into it. There's a lot of chatter, a lot of uncertainty, and a lot of paralysis on the base of investors. What do you think about the recession? Do you think we're in one? We're heading into one? We're not ever going to have a recession? What do you think?
I think things are going to change, but it's not going to be like 2007 to 2010. I think it's going to be different than that. It might rhyme, but it's definitely not going to be the same. But a lot of people are expecting it to be exactly like that. I actually talked to some investors that they're holding on onto their money right now because when things crash really hard, and I'm thinking it's not going to be quite like they're thinking. It's not like they expect it to be because they lived back through 2009. They knew a lot of properties were out there. They were cheap. It's not going to be the same this time around.
Yeah, I agree with you. I chat like you with a lot of investors, a lot of money managers, investment bankers. We see what's happening with capital. There is a great deal of capital money being held on the sidelines, thinking there is going to be some great correction in the housing market. We do see pockets with multifamilies, right? Because real estate is such a broad term. You have hotels, you have warehouses, you have industrial space, you have the Airbnb market, you have single family rentals, you have small multifamilies, 10, 20, 40 unit multifamilies, and you have big multifamilies, 5, 600 units, right? I was just sharing a story with you that just yesterday I was at a complex looking at 338 units, right? Real estate is such a broad market. It's hard to say real estate is going to just roll over. It's like saying inflation or deflation affects everything equally. It doesn't. There's certain things that get hit with inflation more than others. And the same thing with real estate. There's certain aspects of real estate that are going to get hit harder than others. So where we're focusing on some of those larger players who took more of a chance, and they are now getting beat up because of the higher interest rates. However, that's not to say that single families are going to get hit just as hard. I don't think so. I don't think that market's going to roll over tremendously. I think it's going to continue to stay pretty strong for a long time. And there's macro reasons for my thoughts around that. But this thing of paralysis, folks during a recession, they can either plan to pull the trigger on things or they can be paralyzed. Help us understand, whether you think you should hunker down during a recession or whether you should do different during a recession. What are your thoughts?
I don't believe you should be in paralysis. You might pull back a little bit. Maybe there aren't as many deals, but we're still out there looking, even when the market's at the top and finding good deals. They're always out there. And it might not be what people think about. Like right now at some of the investment meetings, people keep talking about they're looking for apartments only. Well, if apartments are too high in price, maybe you should be looking at other types of real estate and see what's on sale. When you're looking for cash flowing real estate, it doesn't necessarily have to look like one thing. My husband talks about an investment like it's a box that sits on a shelf and it either spits out $100 bills or you have to put a $100 bill into it. And we don't care what that box looks like. We don't care what color it is. We don't care what size it is. We only care about whether it spits out money or we have to put money into it. And the whole goal, no matter what the market's doing, is to find those boxes that spit out money and buy those. And you can do that in any market at any time. We got started in 2003 when people told us we were crazy for getting started in investing because real estate was so high. But it didn't matter. We can find great deals no matter what the market's doing, and anybody can do that.
Yeah, the first rule of thumb, so to speak, there's many rules of thumbs, but I always look at cash flowing property, right? So if I buy a property that's cash flowing, I don't care if the price goes down tomorrow or next year. It's cash flowing. I'm gonna hold on to it regardless because it's spitting out $100 bills for me, right? So I don't really care. It's it's a matter of buying it right to make sure that it cash flows on day one. Um, and I remember I'm old, so I remember buying property when it was like $50,000 per unit, right? So you could buy a duplex for $100,000. If I was going under that guise that I think units are gonna drop back to $50,000, I'd probably never buy anything else in the rest of my life, which would be a very bad thing. Those days aren't coming back. Chances are the days of a 3% interest rate mortgage, those days are probably not coming back. So we always got to be looking forward, right? Be careful about, I share with the audience and listeners and friends and whatnot, be careful about looking in the rearview mirror too much because those days, that time has already passed. We have to look forward and find those new opportunities. And they could be different. They could look different. So we just got to be careful about that. So I love your perspective not to be paralyzed and always, look for that next opportunity. You folks, the Power family here has written many books, which I think is a great way to share your story and also for folks to learn from your story, from your successes and also your failures. If you could share with the audience a few of your books that you and the family have written.
So it all started when Devan was 11. He decided he wanted to write a book about how he got started investing in real estate at the age of 7. So he wrote his first book, If I Can Do It, So Can You. And it's all about his journey and how he got started and how anyone else can do exactly what he has done. And then as he was going out and speaking and presenting his book to different places, a lot of parents kept coming up and saying, well, how did you guys do this with your kids? And they asked it so many times like it was a one-word answer, and it's not. So in
Yeah.
order to answer that question, we actually wrote a book called Family Success Triangle that talks about exactly what we did with our family and how we turned business and investing and family into all an integrated part of our life. And what makes us good at one can make us that much better at another. And so that's our book. And then my kids met Mark Victor Hansen, and he helped them write a couple of fictional books so that if you have kids, they can actually learn some of these same lessons, but do it in a fun way. So these are fiction books that are fun to read. There's The Garage by Devan, and there is The Treehouse by Ethan. And they're both about kids starting businesses and learning the good lessons that help them get started in entrepreneurship. So those are the books that my family has written so far. Devan actually has the second book of the Garage series coming out later this year.
That is wild. Thank you for sharing those. For the folks watching and listening, I was sharing with Lila here that I did read, I've read The Garage. It's a kid's book, so it's written for a kid. But I wanted to understand it because I too wanted to share it with others. So I read the book and I actually ultimately mailed it to my nephew. Because he's of that entrepreneurial mindset. He doesn't know what to do with it. He's a kid. I think he's like maybe, I don't know, 14 years old. So he doesn't know what to do with it yet, but there's a spark. And I want to help ignite that spark into a bigger flame. So that book, The Garage, written by Devan, was just it just blew my mind. It gave a lot of different teachable perspectives. And I'm super curious to double back with my nephew and just have that conversation. He doesn't live close to me, so I'm hoping I get to see him real soon to have that conversation. So that was fun. So yeah, you guys are the Power family. I love this. Before we go, share with us. You're working on a new project here, a radio show that you're going to be starting up somewhere in September period. Tell us about that radio show.
It's the Real Power Family Radio Show. It's going to be broadcast in the UK, Canada, and the US. We have the prime time for Eastern time anyway. We've got the prime time 7 a.m. spot. So if you're on your way to work and you want to listen and learn, we're going to have guests on the show, and you're going to get to hear from all of the family members on what we've been doing and what we're learning so that you can learn along with us.
And I know that's going to be, you got to keep me posted when that it starts airing because I know the circle that you travel in, and I know the people that you are associated with. And so I know the speakers, the guests that you're going to have on that show are going to be phenomenal. So I'm definitely going to be tuning in because that's, for folks who can't get out to a conference, and this is something I get many, many times. I mean, you know, you have a certain amount of freedom in terms of how you spend your day, how you can travel, blah, blah. Same with me. I don't have a job, and that's one of the benefits. I travel, I can go places when I want, because I want. A lot of people, because they have a W-2 job, they don't have that freedom. And I get it sometimes that, hey, I can't go to these conferences, halfway across the country. I get it. But again, this is a free resource this radio show where you're going to be having on the same speakers who attend these conferences. and people can listen in and get that same download just by listening to your free radio show as opposed to paying, $1,000 to go to a conference. So this is amazing. This is free stuff, guys. Go listen to it. Look for it. All right. So we'll do more promotion of that radio show when it starts, because I'm a firm believer of education and helping to inspire people. So I want to absolutely help you with that. For folks who want to learn more about what you do, Lila, between you and your husband, Eric, the training and all that you guys do, is there a website or an email address you want to share for them to reach out to you?
They just need to go online to realpowerfamily.com.
Realpowerfamily.com. We're going to have all this stuff in the show notes, the links to the books, all that sort of jazz. But, the main takeaway for me to leave with the audience is this is all very doable. Lila, her family, my family, we did not grow up with silver spoons in our mouth. Nobody gave us any of this stuff. We just took action, right? We read books. We leveraged other people, what they have done. We looked to people who were doing great things in real estate. For us, it's real estate. So we'd look to them and we'd ask them questions. How did you do it? We'd poke and we'd prod, right? For some of you that are listening, maybe it's some other business. Maybe you want to start a bakery, or you want to start a vending machine business or a trucking company. I don't know what it is, but we hope that this serves to inspire the audience to do more and take action. And Lila, I so appreciate your time today coming on the show and sharing your story with us. This is amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tony.
All right, you got to keep us posted when the radio show is going to air, so we can promote that, because I think that's going to be awesome. So, all right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. And again, thank you, Lila. And yeah, everybody have a great day.